So, from not having done such a terrible job on Darkman's Fortress, Wily's Fortress is where things start to get really, really clumsy. By the way, on this screen, make sure that when you fall off that, you head left, not right. Other than that, keep to the middle and you're more or less going to be okay. But yeah, the Wily Fortress stages, at least during my run this time around, did not go so well. Clumsiness abound. And that's going to start coming up in the very next screen. So there's not an awful lot going on here, but I just decided to jump straight into both those pellet shots for no real reason. I guess there's quite a few enemies on screen, but frankly that really is no excuse. This screen's rather interesting. We've got some of these pellet shooters, for want of a better phrase. And of course we've got little moving platforms and spikes on the ceiling, so just make sure when you're jumping up you don't jump too high. Again, like I did there, make a few small jumps, or not practice jumps I hesitate to say, but yeah, just make sure you kind of don't jump too high. And well, I managed to get by the 5 Pukapelli there. Don't worry, they're going to come back to be really flipping annoying during this fortress, but I got past that screen with 5 of them, or that ambush, rather well. This screen, you kind of want to head high as soon as you can, and that does mean having to kind of dodge a few of those little shots from the enemy on the floor there, but once you get by, it's not too bad. Obviously kind of be careful, take your time, don't feel like you've got to go gung-ho during this section. You know, make your move obviously when there's not a spike roller you know, in your way. And that brings us to Dustman stage. Well, a version of it anyway. And even more so with the little destroyable blocks that we have to clear. But this time, well, again process, but we have little mech cannons to deal with. It's just a little bit appropriate, I suppose, since we actually had mechs to deal with on Dust stage. But anyway, yeah, the process is the same. Shoot the blocks, avoid getting crushed by the ceiling, and yeah, you should be fine. The last little one is quite long, so make sure you remove all the blocks, the second to last one is quite long, so make sure you remove all the blocks before sliding through. And for the very last one, just slide through and keep sliding, and you should be okay. One little robot chicken to take care of. I'd advise taking care of the eggs as you kind of ascend the staircase before trying to do too much all at once. And this screen is a demonstration of why I hate the Pukapelli. Ugh. Hard to hit, and if something goes wrong, it's a pain in the neck to get things back on the right track. Fortunately, with this screen having been a bit of a disaster, we're on the final screen. Not that that's going to ease up on any of the respite or anything, since the boss that we're about to see is not one of my favourites, and I do an equally bad job as I've done on the stage on him. This is Big Pets, and ordinarily he's weak to Crystalline, but since you're going to have to shoot the little platforms here, as you can see, to get high enough up to hit him, and I don't keep wanting to switch between weapons, I just decide, well, okay, I'm going to shoot uncharged Mega Buster shots to get up, and then charged Mega Buster shots when I'm up there. But I don't know what it is about this boss. I cannot get the hang of doing it without, just messing up continuously. Obviously you don't want to run into the platforms, they've obviously got spikes on, they're not insta kill, but they can be a bit of a pain sometimes to get on top of, they can kind of come at you quite quickly. The stupid small pets that come down from the ceiling often come down at the most irritatingly placed you could possibly imagine, right in your damn way all the time, and I just hate this freaking boss, I really do. Actually doing it and not dying is, I consider, somewhat of an achievement for me. And I didn't go into this boss with full health either. It really doesn't look like much. And I guess if you just want to take your time and be, really cautious over it, which you'd certainly have to do if you were thinking of doing a no damage one or something, then fair enough. But I don't want to waste so much of your time with that. I'm not doing perfect runs here. But yeah, I don't know. I really flipping hate that thing. It's just the small pets coming down from the ceiling just seem to be right either in the way when you're trying to get from one platform to the other, or when you're trying to jump up to hit big pets in the face. always in the way, always flipping annoying. Thankfully, after that shambles, Wily Stage 2 is a little bit easier. Well, I certainly think so anyway, and that's certainly how this playthrough turned out. I actually only get hit once during the stage, so keep an eye out for that when it happens. The first screen there is full of walking bombs and spiked areas, but they're not they're not too bad. The bombs are reasonably easy to take out, and obviously if it's provided you're not silly and just don't jump straight onto spikes, then they're not too bad. Oh, and here we have water. We didn't actually have any water areas in the Robot Master stages. You'd thought Wave Man would be the closest, but there wasn't actually an underwater section in that stage. So, as is pretty much customary for any Mega Man game to have one, here's the underwater section. It's kind of lurking in Wily's Fortress. And, well, I guess why the hell not? Typically tend to be awkward, so why the hell not put it in a Fortress stage? Although, funnily enough, I don't think it's too bad here. The Mets are a little bit awkward when or certainly the ones by the pits anyway. You kind of need to lure them out to shoot before you want to progress. But they're Met enemies. Most of the enemies there were Met enemies, and they're usually don't take many hits to kill, and they're usually not all that threatening. And we're out of the water, and that means now that the Mets, rather than instantly dying, decides, well, they're the mummy Mets that we saw in the stone stage. So yeah, shoot them and the baby split apart. Nothing really much to say about this one. I thought I did rather a nice job there of taking out all those all those bat enemies. And we've got some of the rat or mouse enemies from Charge stage. More bats and mice and or rats or whatever. And yeah, as you can see, there's look at the open space there. I really don't think this stage is all that bad. The rat ones didn't score off the screen, as you kind of see there. If you even if you miss them or in my case, I wasn't trying to miss it, believe me, but yeah, just so happened to get it. We're probably aiming to fill up some energy there, because I was anticipating that the gyro was going to be used quite in a bit. But now we have a power muscler that you have to do really, really well to take out quickly with a Mega Buster. Failing that, hit it as much as you can, descend the ladder, and then probably Power Stone is your best bet to take it out. As you can see, it's a bit cumbersome and a bit unwieldy to see where they're all the stones are going to go off to. But if you're in close proximity to the power muscler, it should do some damage. This one again, you can kind of play some tricks with this one thanks to the slightly lower ceiling there. But again, if you're not desperate to get by or do a no damage one or whatever, then again, try and maybe hit it as much as you can, and then yeah, feel free to descend the ladder like I've done here and Power Stone it to death. And as you saw there, might have noticed, I didn't get hit on the stage, so that means there's one clumsy hit to the boss. Great. Circling Q9, who is pretty easy, frankly, once you know what you're doing. And as you can see here, gyro is his weakness. Basically, he flies around and he shoots out these kind of, I don't really know what they are really, but spheres, let's just say that. And obviously you see there was the really ridiculously clumsy hit that I should never have walked anywhere near. But yeah, he kind of flies, dots around like that from left to right, and then goes back to the middle. At this point in time, pick a side and kind of lure him to that side, but then scramble across to the other side of the screen. You obviously only want to hit him when the two little doors on his side become open. That's your only opportunity to hit him. And as you might have seen, there are some platforms on the bottom which actually do rise up. But I'd recommend not going too near them, actually, because you're only really going to want to get anywhere near them when you're trying to hit him, but then he's kind of descending down anyway, and if the platforms are rising, you'll likely smack straight into him. So they are there if you need some help, but I'd actually advise not using them. They just tend to get in the way. So Wily Stage 3 is your typical boss rush stage. We do have one cannon enemy blocking the boss rush entrance, and another one-up drop. Jesus Christ. But here we go with the boss rush. And as always, I'll now be talking about Robot Master weaknesses. So first up is Gravity Man, and he's weak to Star Crash, which is Starman's weapon. But I really don't like using it. The idea is you need to, well, as the weapon suggests, crash into Gravity Man and kind of hit him with the shield. But as you can see, the shield has or the shots that Gravity Man shoots have a nasty habit of getting rid of the shield. So it's a pain in the neck really to hit him with it, particularly since you're also having to, obviously, because of the way the way this fight works, how you would think to hit him with the shield, you've got to position yourself pretty much directly under or over Gravity Man in order for it to connect. And that can mean basically that you're going to much more likely going to crash into him. Well, that doesn't excuse the ridiculously clumsy hit to the pellet shot, but yeah, I really do not like using Star Crash on Gravity Man. As you can see, the pellet shot took out so many Star Crashes that I actually had to resort to the Mega Buster there to finish him off. Second up, middle left, is Wave Man, and he's weak to Charge Man's weapon, Charge Kick. And I completely forgot how on earth you meant to use the damn thing. Here I am pressing the fire button, as with all other Robot Master weapons, to see how the damn thing works, before realising that actually what you have to do is slide, and the thing automatically just works when you slide it. But as you can kind of see here, as I mentioned during the when I got the weapon, it's bloody annoying. Yeah, it's just not what you'd use. I mean, look at the number of times I get hit here to Wave Man. Seriously, it's not how you want to attack an enemy, by sliding into them. It's just stupid. Third up bottom left is Stone Man, and he's weak to Napalm's weapon, Napalm Bomb. And finally, we actually have a weapon that works quite well against the Robot Master here, or at least it does when you don't time it stupidly. Basically, when when you've got an opportunity to shoot the Napalm Bomb when Stone Man's not crumbled up. And it does pretty good damage to him, and well, Stone Man's a pretty easy fight anyway, but yeah, Napalm Bomb makes very short work of him. Fourth up, bottom middle, is Starman, and he's weak to Wave Man's weapon, which... Water Wave. I was completely... Thank you for the weapon screen there, because I completely forgot what on earth it was called. And basically, because you can only shoot it again from the floor, basically what you're doing is waiting for Starman to drop to the floor when he's not got his shield on, and then fire it off. It's pretty straightforward again. So Starman's fight again is very simple, and provided you don't miss like that, then yeah, Water Wave takes out Starman rather nicely. Fifth up, middle, I guess, centre middle, is Gyro Man, and he's weak to Gravity Man's Gravity Hold, and basically you just fire the weapon off, and well, I kind of said it in my demo, when I talked about getting it, it would, for smaller enemies, it would kind of make them fly off screen. Obviously for a Robot Master that doesn't happen, but basically you just press the button, the screen flashes, and that's basically all Gyro Man has to offer. Sixth up, bottom right, is Crystal Man, and he's weak to Gyro Man's weapon, Gyro Attack. But since I used it on both Dark Man 3 and indeed the Circling Q9, and I didn't collect any, or many anyway, weapon refills, I haven't got all that much of it. So I'm going to have to resort back to using Mega Buster again. And unfortunately, again, I really don't think I was that far away from him, get completely screwed over and have to worry about the damn Crystal Eye attack for a second time. So, yeah. Like I said, the Wily Fortress stages did not go all that well, and yeah, but neither did the boss rush, either because I was running out of weapons or what, but yeah. Yeah, I still maintain I was not far enough over from Crystal Man for him to do that, but yeah, anyway. Second to last, middle right, is Napalm Man, and he's weak to Crystal Man's weapon, Crystal Eye. We saw kind of how it works for Dark Man 1, so I believe you can kind of shoot this thing out at the wall and have it kind of break apart as well, but frankly, again, you might as well just, particularly for Napalm Man, unless it does any more damage, which I'm not sure whether it does, you might as well just shoot it at him straight. And lastly, top right is Charge Man, the most annoying of the lot, and wouldn't you know it, he's weak to one of the most annoying weapons of the lot, Power Stone. We saw how it worked for the power musclers, but as you can see here, his stone's kind of a circle, and what you kind of need to do really, the best opportunities to hit him is when you've jumped over him or just about to jump over him and he's in close proximity to you, and then you fire off the stone. Other than that, you're going to have no real idea where on earth the stones are going to appear on the screen, and it's going to be almost impossible to hit him with it. So wait till he's close and then fire them off. And I actually took him out without any damage, which wasn't too bad actually. So that brings us to the Wily fight of the boss rush stage, and well, frankly, it's got to be one of the easiest Wily fights there ever was. And I'm resorting to charged Mega Buster shots because his actual weakness is Starman's weapon, Star Crash. But you can imagine how fun that is to try and get close up to Wily and hit him with that. So yeah, I wouldn't advise that in the slightest. Charged Mega Buster shots do barely any less damage than the Star Crash would anyway. So I basically just let Wily hover around up at the top of the screen, wait for him to plummet down, and shoot him in, when his exposed capsule is up with a Mega Buster shot. There's really not much to this. I'd advise standing in the middle, that's sort of around by the spikes, just so that you've got giving yourself a chance to quickly move to the right or to the left, as opposed to being, like for instance, if that one there, if I was right over to the left-hand side of the screen and he'd come down there, it would have been far more for me to travel, and indeed there if I went to the right to get out of his way. But yeah, other than that, look to see where Wily's going to drop, and if it's not over if you don't have to jump over the spikes, then don't. If you do have to, then yeah, then just move to either the left or the right and hit him. It's a blimmin' easy fight. And I'm not complaining about that, by the way, after a boss rush. So that brings us to Wily 4, the final stage in the game. Apologies for the brief pause here, I was waiting for video to finish buffering or whatever, so it didn't go on for too long, but anyway, yeah. Wily 4 is a very short stage, and that still doesn't stop you getting hits on it rather clumsily to what it's dash on. It is an annoying enemy in close proximity, that cannon certainly isn't. And there's another dash on coming up, but I managed to actually dodge the lasers that one shoots. But yeah, as I say, the stage is pretty short, and this isn't the nicest enemy to have in close proximity, but yeah, with a stage that short, it really doesn't make much difference. And yes, you are seeing that correctly, I've just selected Super Arrow for the final boss. And unfortunately, due to pressing probably the R or left shoulder button, I instantly deselect it, which took me completely by surprise, so I've got to go and reselect it. But anyway, clumsiness aside, Super Arrow is this thing's weakness, and shoot it in the mouth of the skull. I don't really like this boss either. I must admit, I just can't quite get the hang of the dodging the missiles or indeed the balls it shoots. Theoretically, the tank won't. Theoretically, the tank won't kind of travel toward you until you've shot. But yeah, I just find it a pain in the neck to dodge some of those projectiles. But it's still not too bad. And actually, Super Arrow is a really nice, kind of bizarre weakness for it to have. So that brings us to Wily Machine 5, the final form of the final boss. And don't worry about the screeching; it's not going to last that long. I'm just going to demonstrate straight off or right at the start, if you were using the Mega Buster, how you would fight it. So basically, you have to wait for Wily to teleport down to a low level and then hit him with it. But finally, I'm kind of teasing it probably since the end of video 8, or well, when I started talking about all the letters, here is Beat in action. And yes, I appreciate this is completely cheesing the final boss, but who the hell cares? Why not show it off anyway? Sure, it's what most people would do if they had Beat available. So basically, Beat just travels on screen to any enemy that's there, and of course for the final boss he just goes completely to where Wily is. Sometimes psychically he'll know exactly where Wily's about to teleport in. Thank you. And yeah, basically just means Mega Man can stay as far away from him as he likes. And Wily's deal is, well, he teleports in pretty much at random on screen, you don't know where he's going to appear. He then drops 2 energy shots to the ground, they split apart, go left and right along the floor, and then obviously the 4 energy spheres circle Wily in a spiral. They start out and then close in again. But it's a pretty easy fight, to be honest, anyway, even if you're not cheesing it and using Beat. The only downside is you're probably going to have to wait a little bit for Wily to come down to an appropriate height. You can use gyro attack on him. It's not an especially good weakness, but it is one of the ones that obviously you can aim upwards. So yeah, if you haven't got beat and you can't be bothered messing around waiting for Wily to come down to a decent height, then gyro attack can be rather helpful. But as you can see here, beat just completely creams him. Wily, as always, begging for mercy. Mega Man performing a ridiculously high jump that frankly isn't possible, at least when you're controlling him. And demonstrating superhuman strength by holding up an entire fortress ceiling, which unfortunately does allow Wily to get away, unlike there doing nothing but just screaming like a maniac. But of course Proto Man there with his familiar whistle to save the day. And in case you didn't notice, he's there in the bottom right hand corner of the screen now, watching Light and Mega Man watch as Wily teleports away. And that is that. Mega Man 5 completed. And this is probably my third favourite of the classic Mega Man games. And as I said in part 1, that probably is a bit surprising. Most people that I've seen or heard talk about this game tend to have it fairly low down on their list of favourites, as indeed probably the critics do as well. There are a couple of reasons that possibly don't quite ring true for me, to try, or at least try and explain that. One of them being the Robot Masters. I will accept that I have to say that they probably maybe lack a real kind of iconic couple or standout Robot Masters. If you think back to like Mega Man 2, you've got ones like Quick or Metal. From 3, you've got maybe, I don't know, Shadow, Gemini. 4, you've got Toad and Pharaoh. But for 5, you wouldn't really kind of pull any of them out and say, right, they're kind of really iconic or whatever. But they're also kind of labelled a bit bland as well, and they're all a bit of a muchness. But I still quite like the variety of them. I actually really do like Charge Man. When I'm not trying to perfect run him, I really enjoy that fight. I kind of think of that as a real kind of nice challenge. I will concede again that the Robot Master weapons are probably about maybe worst of the bunch in terms of the classic series, but I don't use Robot Master weapons all that much anyway, so I'm not all that bothered by it, frankly. For me, they got some of the best, or one of my favourite bits of music in the whole lot of the classic series, being Charge Man's stage and Proto Man's stage. The Fortress stage, I just love those. There are some other really nice ones that I like as well, including Wave and Napalm stage. But yeah, I love the music in this. And I kind of guess that people will probably get it thinking about, in terms of the chronology of the series, that it was around about this time that the Super Nintendo came out, and that Capcom or whatever didn't decide to shift games to that. They decided to keep making the NES games, so people were kind of abandoning them. But I think this is really underrated, this game. I didn't have it while kind of growing up either, so I played it once and borrowed it from a friend, but then kind of, he moved away and I didn't have the opportunity to play it anymore. So I was so excited when I got the Mega Man Anniversary Collection, I go back to playing this game. Maybe there's a little bit for me in there of having played the game, and unlike the other Mega Mans, which I did have access to, or 1 to 4 anyway, but I couldn't 5, that there was just something about going back to this game. But yeah, it was still as fun and enjoyable as I remember then, and yeah, I love this game. Not quite sure why it's down on so many people's list, but yeah, right up there at the top of mine, probably top 3. So, as always, before concluding the video, let's look at the Mega Man 5 Perfect Run scoreboard. I gave Gravity and Gyro 1s, Star and Stone 2s, Crystal, Napalm and Wave 3s, and Charge earning the highest rank of just 6. This equates to a total score for Mega Man 5 of 21. For comparison purposes, Mega Man 1 as a whole got a score of 29, Mega Man 2 scored 42, Mega Man 3 scored 34, and Mega Man 4 scored 28. So, leaving aside Wily Tower, which, as I said previously, I'm not going to directly compare, as there are only 3 Robot Master stages in that game, Mega Man 5 was by far the easiest so far. Not too terribly surprising, at least for me anyway. I think Mega Man 5's Robot Masters are the easiest of the classic series. Charge is the hardest here, and even he's not all that bad. The levels themselves are all pretty straightforward too, waves being the hardest, but when you compare his level to, say, Ices or Rings, you realise that even Mega Man 5's hardest level is nothing to get too worked up about. So, in terms of perfect runs, this is the breather of the classic series, no question. And that's about all I wanted to say about Mega Man 5. I personally really love this game, and it would definitely be toward the top of my personal favourite list. So next up will be an update video. I'll be outlining what my upcoming projects are going to be, as I've pretty much come to the end of the games I talked about during my first update video back in January 2014. All apart from one, which I will bring up again this time around. So yeah, if you're interested to know what will be on the horizon, tune in next time. Cheerio.